cut time.
Cut time. That's roughly where it needs to be.
Okay.
All right, now let's deburr it. I imagine there's probably a tool that does deburring. I think I saw Randy Knapp with it.
Sometimes you just gotta use what you got.
Yeah.
What's in your pocket?
What's in your pocket? Look at that. Got that off of this big pipe here. And then we just took the burrs off of it. And right now we're not gluing it yet, but we're gonna put it on this bushing. So on the HepvO valve, this is a 1.5 inch threaded right here. So we're gonna screw that on there like that. And then this is gonna fit right here, this bushing, into the drain of the shower. So with the HepvO, they want you to have this rib part down, and there's an arrow here on the side that shows what direction the water flows, and so it'll go out the side. Problem though is that we need to go into the tank. And so we're gonna take off this end here, and then we've got this fitting right here that will screw onto here, just with, what is this called? Let's see, this is a 1.5 to 1.5 connector. That's what it says.
Rubber connector.
1.5. So we'll put this one on here. Then this goes on there, like that. Potentially. So we got a screwdriver with a hex head, and we'll tighten this on. That looks pretty solid.
Wow.
I know, right?
Looks pretty nice, huh?
Now you can see, maybe, potentially, right in there.
Let's go see what this looks like. There you go, silly.
Thanks for the pipe.
No wonder our microphone's broken.
All right, so that's the shower drain there. And so the idea is that these pieces will be glued together, this bushing and this threaded piece, and then it'll slide up into there, and we'll glue it up into that joint, but we're just gonna push it for right this second. So now we've got to make an entrance into the tank somehow, somewhere, and right here is where it drops directly down. And that's a problem because this needs to come backwards more.
That's fine. We got loads of space.
Yeah. And we have this piece here so that we can simulate where the floor is actually going to be. So let's move this back just a little bit. So I'm going to move this piece.
In the video where we cut out the underbody doors and we did the framing for the underbody, we made these pieces. Brian welded these guys together, and then I painted them, and we seam sealed the underside of them. So they're a nice reference point for where our floor is going to be. It's going to get tight under here really fast.
Real quick. And it's going to get dirty too.
Dirty.
So that potentially, so if we, let's see, I'm gonna pull this piece off just because it's getting in the way, and push that one back up into there.
Woo! Woo! Now he's cuddling with the barrel.
I'm wrestling it.
Cuddling.
We might have to have this forward because I don't think that this is gonna glue up very well, and we shouldn't have it touching and trying to get a grommet right here. Like that's now going up versus down. Mm-hmm. So let's try moving this forward a few spots. So let's try to put this face here, maybe right about here.
Okay.
Let's see.
Get in your hammock.
Get in your hammock.
That's about where you told me.
Yep.
I think that's nice. Yeah, if we come into the back side of the barrel.
The back top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of the top.
Yeah, we'll have more room.
So the closer we can bring it up here, the more room we have back there for the hot water tank.
Yeah, because
Honestly.
then it would fit.
Yeah, and then the shorter distance the pipes need to go between the two greywater tanks. So if the greywater tanks are nearly face to face, we're gonna have to test that though. But if they can be as close as possible, that might be a good thing. And then there's more room behind that greywater tank too.
We'll need about maybe this much room between them, just so it's easy for us to go and crank on the deals.
So we're trying to get the front of this above where the floor line's gonna be, and then trying to position the back of it as high as possible, all while getting it to be as close to this as we can. And figuring out how the plumbing will come down and hopefully shoot into the back side of the barrel.
All right, so this is pretty ideal spot, I think, because we clear our drain right there. Look how perfectly that fits in there. The only issue is that we're gonna have to do an elbow to go back into it like that, which means that when it's all said and done, we might actually have to, this is almost gonna be resting on the floor.
That's fine.
Yeah. So it's almost like if we had a floor bracket or something. We have 2 of these tanks. They're 30 gallons apiece. We plan on having 100 gallons of fresh water, but we drink a lot of water. So I don't think that matching the gray water to the fresh water is too essential for us.
No, and I also think that our idea is that we're kind of responsible about dumping the gray water. And when we dump the gray water, that we would hopefully top up the 100 gallon and that we would never run out of the fresh water.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that doesn't seem very smart.
Yeah, but another thing to think about is the more showers that we end up taking, the more gray water will accumulate. So watching the gray water level is going to be very important in the future. Having 2 30-gallon tanks piped together is going to allow us to have a 60-gallon capacity. Now, you got to keep in mind that your capacity is limited by the highest area where water will enter. So if water's entering or gray water's entering like a third of the way up the tank, you no longer have 30-gallon capacity. It's now less than that. And we could probably get into some crazy math and figure out what that capacity is, but that's not for this video.
Well, the goal is to maximize the capacity of the water tanks.
And you might be thinking, why are we using these white barrels here? Well, for one, they were free. Thanks, Adam, for hooking us up. Appreciate you. For 2, they're repurposed. So where they came from a factory, they were just going to be thrown away. And we like to repurpose as much stuff as possible. What other positives do we have about this?
Well, I think that the major positive is, like, even though there are 2 tanks, we've got kind of a cool idea for how we're going to, like, keep the water level balanced.
Yeah.
And any time that you're pushed to be creative in your mind, I think it's a positive. So
Yeah.
if that's your third, that would be it.
That is definitely. I'm going to throw a 4th in there. The wall thickness on these tanks is massive. Like, you try to give it a bear hug and it doesn't collapse. Now, the freshwater tank, whenever that one arrives, it's got a thinner wall and it's actually a little bit more floppy. So we'll have to have extra supports on that. But I really like how thick and durable these tanks are.
Yeah. Prototype! It's no Garcia prototype, but I think it'll work. Here you go.
Here, bring it in. Now that we got a prototype, we can drop down approximately 3 inches or so. And up here, maybe you'll steady the prototype. So that would drop this level down 3 inches. All right, let's drop this back end down.
Drop that back end down.
All right, now I'm gonna lower the front end.
Here, let me move the prototype to the front, and I'm gonna pull the whole bar forward till we get up there. Perfect.
All right, so it's gonna go all the way down, and then I'm gonna ratchet it back up.
Cool.
All right, so that's not touching.
No, I think this is pretty level. The way I'm holding
All right,
it.
now let's come back to this one. It's basically gonna touch, which is fine.
That's fine.
That's fine, yeah.
Which the back needs to go up a bit, right?
So now the back, eyeballing our little design here.
I'll go straight into the top. That'll work.
Yeah, I think it might.
What do you think, the flange is gonna be too big?
No, I'm just,
Well, we could put one of those hangers up there to pull up the plumbing a hair. It'll probably be some more snug, right?
yeah.
Once it's all glued together.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, I'm seeing a target right here. So, see where this is what we're having to do with the HepvO right here. So it comes straight down, makes an immediate turn, and then it comes over here, makes a U-turn to then go into there. But we need to make sure that this is kind of up, but not too up that it doesn't want to drain, because this needs to be down just a little bit. Everything kind of needs to be downhill.
Yep. And you might be thinking, why is everyone obsessed with this HepvO thing? HepvO has this little gland in it, or like a, I don't know, it's almost like a diaphragm that only opens one way, so that nothing can burp back up into your space. So it helps with like keeping smell down, and it also helps from the tank water sloshing back up if you say like slammed on the brakes or whatever.
Versus a P-trap.
Versus a P-trap that easily could flow back up and have odors go back up. So that's why a lot of people doing schoolies and van builds and all that stuff are using HepvO. The only problem with the HepvO that we've come across so far, and we haven't put it into play with our plumbing yet, is that it's kind of irregular fittings for household plumbing. That's kind of the only problem. It's a bit of a specialty item, and you know, all the plumbers that we've talked to have been like, I've never seen that thing. So
Yeah.
we're kind of trying to figure it out based on what we've seen other people do, and obviously the plumbers give us the best advice they can with
With what they know.
their knowledge, and I think we've been set straight pretty good. So
Yeah. All right, let's take this
take
piece off.
that off. What if instead of doing that, we turn the plumbing this way, so it goes in the top? Not enough room?
There we go.
And then, yeah, I don't think there's enough room.
I don't think there's enough room for that.
Yeah, because
No.
we'll be cranking on it pretty hard.
And the bottom slopes down a little bit from the middle. So let's pull this back, put it back like this, and then,
Bring the whole
See, like,
jug
I don't-
away.
yeah, I don't know if, like,
I don't think that's.
It's not gonna
It's
work.
gonna be the same situation
Yeah.
as trying to go in the top
Yeah.
here.
so,
Yeah, it's too low to go in the top of the barrel.
yeah.
The plumbing is too low.
So if
And I
this,
don't think we can make it any more streamlined than what it is.
yeah. This is going to be for the
Hanger.
for the hanger.
Yeah. And worst case scenario, we have to bring the barrel up
Yeah.
an 1/8 inch or however
And then we
thick
could slice
that
off the bottom piece if we
steel
need to.
is.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't have the floor in yet.
Because we're sitting through it.
Always thinking ahead. At least we're trying.
All right, so we're gonna cut this threaded rod here, also called thread all. And we're gonna do a couple little tricks here. We're gonna take 2 nuts and we're gonna thread both nuts one on either side of where we're gonna cut. And the reason for that is because after we cut, the threads are gonna be a little bit crooked just because they get mucked up a little bit on the ends from the cut. And so after the cut, then you just thread the nut off and it straightens the threads.
Tricks! You just spin that forever.
That got floppy, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Should just use the chop saw.
All right, here's the trick now. Wait for it. The end's still gonna be rough, it just straightens the threads out. There you go, straighten the threads. So now we can take a grinder to that or a sander and sand that. But now the threads are straightened. There it goes.
Boom. We're in action.
We're in action now.
Now we just have to make 4 more of those.
No, actually 7 more.
I've been corrected.
Here, give me the end.
They backed it out. What are you doing? Oh, I see what you're doing. Here, I'll pull this one. You hold the other one. What am I doing? Just pulling it this way?
Or you don't even have to pull it. You just hold it.
Where'd our line go?
Here, measure it.
Oh, there. Is that it?
Almost to it.
Do you see it?
Here.
I don't even see it.
Yeah, let's take this off and see how far we need to go.
Oh,
I think it's
the
right
line.
there. There it
Okay, we're almost there with mine.
All right.
Okay, mine's across the line.
All right, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, I'm just going close to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Ready?
Yeah,
You going the right direction?
I think.
No,
No.
wrong direction.
There we go. Now that would have saved my fingers. Go a little bit more? Okay.
All right, so we tried with the Sawzall for one. For this one, we're gonna try the chop saw. Yeah! All right, this one also has a burr on it. So this time we're gonna clean the burr with the sanding wheel first, and then we're gonna back it off. So that one I did more of a bevel for this test.
Wow.
But we still used the nut to straighten the threads. The nut is key. I'm just showing a few. Oh, that actually went off a lot smoother.
See what I'm saying?
All right, so the bevel is where it's at. We may actually bevel that one while we're at it.
Bevel my Neville. One on each side, right?
Yeah. So stop the back one early and then continue on with the other one. Oh, nice maneuver.
Where does he get this from? 19 and about 3/8. So what if we make it 21?
I'll measure it because that is definitely flat. All right, I'm good. So this will be our first hole.
Are you in this nook, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So check this out. So there's our first hole.
Yep.
We'll drill that. We'll tighten this rod up so it stays vertical, and then we'll see where we need to be for the next one. But it'll be 17 and 5/8 plus about whatever the distance is between the center of that and the edge. That's what it'll end up being.
Okay.
Mathematics. I found the freaking nut.
All the birds and all the bees and all the trees. Help me feel everything around me. Help me in the vibrations of the universe inside of me. Help me beat the shit out of my universe.
There you go.
Nice.
That's great.
So then we'll have a nut here, a nut here, and then another nut up on top.
Yeah.
And that just keeps it from bouncing up and down and moving on us.
That thing's not going fucking anywhere.
So that one is 19 inches. So we need to account. All right, you can set those down now. So now we need to add to that an inch on each side so that we could fit that in there. So we need 20, 19, 20, 21 inches. So we need 2 at 21 inches.
Okay. Come on. What are you waiting for? So the base of the drum is a little bit wider at the bottom. So these pieces are going to be 19 inches wide. And then we've come up with kind of an interesting idea to keep our pieces, these
The front ones are 19 inches.
the front and the back from swinging out off the barrel. It shouldn't, but you know, cover your ace. I guess we can still put that in the harness. It's way heavier now. Floor prototype coming through. Alright, there's the floor.
My side looks like it. Okay, let's pull it this way.
Okay.
My side clears it.
Alright, now let's try the front. Wonder how our angle is on our barrel. We still got room for the plumbing though. Oh, check this out. What do you think, Garcia?
I think we're potentially within tolerance. It's kind of high, but like, we're not going to get a full 30 gallons out of either of these drums because of how we have to plumb it. So I think if we just do our best and get it as high as possible, that we'll probably get it as high as possible, but also get it as low as possible.
Right.
And we'll only be able to do that once we get the floor in.
Right. Like it's essentially us versus the ceiling height versus the plumbing being in the way and versus the floor fitting under this front end.
But I do have to tell you that I think orientation-wise, this being all the way forward so that we can access the HepvO later,
Yeah.
like if we need to clean it, this is actually really smart.
Yeah.
So I think let's stick with this design for these, and we can drill through this rib here and then that rib right there, and we'll be able to get this first one mounted.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yes. So, thanks to some brainstorming that Brian and I had, my dad and Joseph, who is one of our patrons, for chatting about this design with us, because We don't want this thing to be flailing around and leaking all over our underbody. We don't want this thing to be flailing around and leaking all over our underbody storage. So we decided to add this piece to keep it from swaying and keep it in place with this back piece. I think that's gonna work really nice. And then we've got these tubes up here around the threadle to keep them from rubbing. And then right now I'm working on putting together like is that foam or like a rubber tube to keep this strap from rubbing. So when you put your heads together with smart people, good things happen. And I think we got a pretty sleek design here.
Yeah.
All right. There it is. So now this piece will go underneath our strap. Because we'll put it like that so it just wants to cradle it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Why the strap at the back and not the front, and only the top and not the bottom?
So this strap is going to hold the circumference on the top edge down and help prevent it from rotating. The front one, I don't think we need the strap because we have the tubing on the threadle. And so that's already squeezing on it, and even without this on, it didn't rotate. So we just figured that it would be an extra form of security on our part just to squeeze down both the front and the back. Now I'm wondering if, because we have the lip here and we don't have a lip here, this is captured. So this bottom of the barrel is kind of tapered down a little bit, so this might actually end up being more towards the middle section instead of that far back. So we won't know until we start mounting it to see how it fares best, but so far we're tightening it down, and as we're tightening it down, it keeps on slipping this way. So I might loosen it up and pull it right in front of this rib here to keep it in the middle section. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
All right.
I think this is good though. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, well Brian's outside cutting some pieces of Unistrut to mount the tanks. I'm going to clean up the edges of these so that nobody gouges out an eye while we're in the underbody or gets scratched or something like that.
Under the bus.
We're getting ready to drill our holes for the first piece of Unistrut, which is where all of our mounting dreams begin.
Unistrut. All right, so initially we thought that we were gonna just drill into the ribs under here and just kind of hang them down because everything along this chassis is mounted to these ribs, so they're pretty freaking sturdy. But the problem that we ran into is that right here, these are these are frame clamps that are clamping onto the chassis frame, and there's another kind of like a hat channel on the back side of it, and I don't think that we have enough space inside that little hat channel because it's super thin to actually drop a nut and a washer down into. So what we're going to use is this smaller, also the 1 5/8 Unistrut. It's just a thinner version of it, so it's a little bit low profile, and we're going to mount that up in here, but instead of drilling through the frame clamps, we're gonna just drill directly through the frame or the members themselves down here. So we've got plenty of space on that. So right now we're gonna just position it and see where we end up going. Perfect. Okay, those will be there. So we'll try to screw onto.
Problem with having a body under the bus is that your body gets in the way,
Yeah.
especially your head.
All right, now that we got the mark on that one. All right, that one's centered there.
Awkward moments.
Awkward moments brought to you by Under the Bus.
I love being under the bus. It's like a little cave.
Oh, that was quick.
Thank you. Got a hex head and a washer. So this is gonna go here. And let's see, we'll probably drop this down through there. And throw the washer up in there. And throw the nut onto that.
Is that nylock?
This one is a nylock, yes. There it is.
Yay!
It's like the first part of the nylock, the little plastic insert. It seems to be kind of tough most of the time. And then you get past that, and then it gets a little easier, but there's still a ton of resistance because it's designed to actually grip the threads of the bolt. And you can see that one came just nice. So let's go ahead and finish tightening up that one over there. Oh, it's pinching the metal real good, girl. Real good.
The thing that we really like about Unistrut is that it is stronger than heck. It can support something like, I don't know, over 1,000 pounds per 24 inches if distributed appropriately. So our goal is to distribute it appropriately.
What's cool about that is 1 gallon of fresh water at sea level weighs about 8 1/4 pounds. So because this is gray water, we're gonna have things like maybe a little bit of soap, like all natural biodegradable soap that might be in there. That weighs a little bit more than water. Also potentially maybe small food scraps that make it through. Also, that also adds a little bit of weight. So 30 pounds times 8 1/4 is not that much, guys. All right.
What's your hat?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back to my smoothing of the metal job. Brian's gonna finish up drilling these holes so we can start to hang these puppies.
All right, next up we've got some spring channel nuts. These guys are 3/8 inch on the center. They fit perfectly with threaded rod, and they're designed to work with Unistrut or Super Strut or strut channels, whatever you want to call them. All sorts of names for them. But they designed to thread in, and they hold pipes and all sorts of stuff up into the air. So they're pretty freaking strong. They got a cool little cleat there on the bottom. These are the same things that we used on the roof for some of the rooftop stuff that we've been doing. Pretty cool. So let's go, we're gonna dry fit these in. I'm gonna thread the threaded rod through so that we can start to get measurements and start dry fitting the entire tank so that we can see what actual size we need to make these rods, because I think that the rods might be a little bit long right now, just because originally we were going to go through that member there, but now it's gonna just stop there. So we might need to trim off a little bit here at the bottom, but that's all right. That's just part of the experiment. So let's get these things put up in there and start mounting them. How much fun. All right, so to give you an idea of what we're doing here, there's the channel nut right up in this area here. You can see the channel nut there. The 3/8 inch threaded rod goes into the channel nut. The channel nut has little teeth that grip the inside of the channel and essentially will pull down. So in order for that to happen, this needs to be in place, and then this nut here will be tightened up upon it. And then once it's nice and straight, see how it spans the channel perfectly right there. So now we grab our crescent wrench here and we keep this piece straight and we tighten this. So we're gonna have to take this threaded rod back down in order to put the floor in. So we're not using thread lock yet, but this is exactly how it'll go, and see how there's no movement on that at all. It's absolutely perfect. So we'll do that on all of them.
Time for tubes. Gotta scoot forward.
That needs to squeak forward a little bit, probably.
You need to pull it?
Yeah. So we might have to loosen these a little bit.
We might have a problem though, because it was designed to be in this hole.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be wide enough to go back on the barrel very far. I mean.
Yeah. I see
And
what
then
you're
it's
saying.
going to put a lot of pressure, especially full, on these. So we're needing to rework our design. Once we got the barrel up, we realized that the face of it wasn't close enough to this piece right here. We need the face of the barrel pretty much against it. But we are at a maximum, I guess, push forward with where this Unistrut is. We can't push it any forward because there's no other rib. Right now he is moving the channel nuts as far over as he can to see if we can widen these guys so that the barrel fits in between it. It won't go as our original plan where the top piece of angle iron sits against the lip of the barrel. Now that angle iron will be pushed back a little further on the belly of the barrel, but I think we're still going to be really good.
There we go, that's good right there. All right, so now we need the barrel in place.
Do we have the piece of L up there?
No, I took it out.
No L.
No,
We're skipping the angle iron
on top.
on top. We decided we don't need these plastic tubes because they're in the way. All right, we're canceling these. Let them down. Okay, now I'm gonna see where we're at with these guys hanging down, this lip hanging down, and our mock-up floor piece. We'll see how much we'll need to cut off of here, and hopefully this piece lines up so that we can just attach it straight to the floor once we get the floor ready. Well, that's definitely too low. But the angle iron is in the perfect spot. If you take a look here, we'll be able to easily put a little piece of angle iron attaching hopefully to the face of this piece of angle iron, and then we can connect it to the floor. Awesome. So we just have to cut off these pieces of threadle so that we can clear the floor.
See, now it stays forward.
Bye-bye. Almost there. Couple more cranks. Yeah. There. One more.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, we need it to tilt forward.
It's almost level here, so
bring the
we
back
need
up?
the back to come up just a little bit. And we've got some playback here, so we're good to continue. So we're completely level here, so we need to kind of come up
Teeter-totter.
evenly. 4, 5,
7.
boom, dead nut.
All right.
Now let's check this
Oh,
one.
that looks like an angle.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Oh, we just need a bit of an angle, guys, so that our tank drains. Bubbles over here. Perfect.
So on 9 inches, what is that? About a 1/4 inch every 9 inches. So every 18 inches, 1/2 inch. We're well below the draining level required by residential plumbing for pipes. So I think that'll be good.
Rock and roll.
Yeah,
We did it.
maybe.
Yeah.
22 1/4?
Let's go install these things, Brian.
So Brian did a bit of a diagram to figure out how far apart we need to do our barrels. And we think that if we leave about 12 inches, we should be cool. Plus we'll have a little bit of wiggle room with the barrels. So once we get the plumbing put in to drain it, we should be cool. So ready to mount the barrel?
Yeah, the idea is that the barrels are going to face each other and then be piped together and plumbed together at the bottom edge so that they self-regulate and self-level each other, because that's what liquids do.
Ta-da!
All right.
Yeah. Now we're gonna try to get these up under our strapping up at the top. This is funny.
The view you have is the same view I have, oh audience. There's not much room in here.
Finally get to lay down on the job.
Finally.
He is loosening the nut on our strapping, and now he's squishing it up a bit so that we can move the back end of the barrel up higher to give us nice rocky flow. Is that better?
That is better. We've got forward tilt. In 9 inches, we have about a 1/4 of an inch forward tilt. Perfect. Oh, that is exciting. We got two 30-gallon barrels installed, and they're high enough so that when we go to install the floor, we'll be able to anchor them with through bolts through the floor. So we're gonna call this install good. We still have a few more things to do, like for instance, use thread locker on the nuts to keep them from wobbling out. But something to keep in mind is that we still have to drop these tanks to do all the plumbing connections. So this initial setup is basically, hey, this is where it's gonna be. We've got the proper height. These barrels are actually gonna work.
Really, really good. So yeah, because we have some finessing to do, potentially once the floor is in, and then when we're putting our drains, directing them into the tanks, we may have to do some finessing. So we don't want to make anything permanent quite yet. And these guys are probably going to be in our way when we're doing the floor, but we want to do the majority of the work because it's already tight quarters in here. So it only made sense. And we had to do drilling. Yeah, we had to do drilling, and then we'll still have to cut these guys a little bit shorter, and we still want to kind of figure out what we're gonna do with the thread all through the middle. We might not even need it because we're gonna anchor these guys to the floor, but it's sturdy. Holy smokes.
Super sturdy. So I'm super happy about this. I'm happy that we could reclaim these barrels, and because we got them for free.
Keep them out of the dump.
Yeah.
Anytime you can keep something out of the dump, I'd say we're all winning, and Mother Earth winning also. So thanks for watching. We love having you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. I'm not sure what we're doing, but you're gonna want to stick around.
We just realized we have a lot to check off that we haven't checked off in ages. Dome skylight, check.
Toilet, greywater,
The seats.
we might be caught up now.